head over to miniaturemarket.com where they have thousands of board games at discounted prices like Aristocracy. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today the king has been missing, and he has been for a long time, so everyone else is trying to be the leader of the kingdom, and you're going to be doing so by building different buildings. You're also going to be trying to gather different resources like wood, going to the docks and getting some fish, and you're trying to sort of link together different towns, a little bit of area control. Today we're taking a look at Aristocracy. This is from Tasty Minstrel Games. It's designed by Dr Reiner Knizia, one of my favorite designers. Let me show you how the game works. I'll see you on the other side. At the beginning of the game, each player gets a player aid with a character that they like. Now the character doesn't do anything special, but it does give you a different look for your player aid, and each player is going to pick a color and take all the buildings of that color. Now when the game starts, it's set up like this where all the tiles are face down, these green tiles. Now the board has different districts in there, like here you see a purple district, here a green, orange, blue, and so on and so forth. They're all broken out like that. Now over the course of the game, you're going to be gaining points by different ways. One is to have one of your buildings in all 8 regions. If you do that, you'll get this 8 points. If you do that multiple times, you'll get multiples of these 8 points. You're also trying to connect towns, which are the middle sections of these different districts, to another town. If you do that, you're gonna be getting points from both of these. If you have region dominance, which means you have 3 or 5, for anytime you get 3 or 5 in a district, you'll take one of these points for that district. Now there's 3 types of resources in the game: wood, corn, and sheep. If you ever get a total of 9 resources, you'll get this, which will be 9 points. You can do that multiple times too. And at the end of the game, you're going to be getting 3 points for every set of the 3 different resources like that. So that would be 3 points at the end of the game. That's how you score points. Turns are very simple. On your turn, you're simply going to flip face up any 3 tiles out on the board. Then you can choose one tile and activate it. If you choose any of the 3 resources like wood, corn, or sheep, you simply choose that resource and you take all of them that are face up. So in this case, if I wanted to choose wood, I would just take all of the woods that are face up and place it in front of me. Then it'd be the next player's turn. Now, if on your turn you instead choose one of the building types, these 2 are the same types of buildings, you would then place one of your buildings on all of those that are face up with that same building shown. And if you activate a royal, first you would take this royal. There's either a king or a queen. That's a queen. The queen goes on the axe, and as they get placed, they go down here. The king goes down here, and this acts as a timer. As soon as, depending on the amount of players, both of these tracks are to that player count, that ends the game. Now, when you take a royal, you also get to take one of your buildings and place it in any empty single area. If you happen to place it in an empty area next to a harbor, you get one of these fish. And at the end of the game, remember, you get 3 points for each set. The fish can be a wild. So this is actually one set, and this is the second set. This is acting as a sheep. This would be 3 points, 6 points, count all these up. And all these other bonuses for the ones that I showed you earlier about having a total of, if you had 9 resources, and if you were in 8 of the total regions. Again, at the end of the game, you add up all the points that you see there and the points for each 3 sets of the unique resources, and whoever has the most points is the winner. Now I went over those buildings pretty fast, so I'm just going to show you that there are 3 different types. There's this type, then there's the churches, then there's the castles. And again, when you select a building, you place your buildings on all of the same types. So I could put on these 2, or this one, or this one. Again, if there's any other face up of that type anywhere on the board, you put them on all of that single type. All right, so Aristocracy, much like all of Dr. Reiner Knizia's games, this game has simple turns. The mechanisms are easy to grasp, the turns move very fast, but there's a lot of depth there, and I like that. I like that on your turn you're flipping tiles, and as you're flipping 3, and as the game goes on, there's going to be more and more choices as to what's out there. And it's just like, oh, I'll flip these 3, and even depending on where you flip the tiles, you're kind of like hunting and pecking, like, ooh, I want to kind of build my route over here. I'll flip this over here and see if I can get a bunch of buildings that are the same, or just any buildings I can start building this route off of. And it might not be what you want, but there's probably other tiles out there that you do want. So I like the flipping tiles aspect of this. It brings an interesting amount of puzzliness and randomness to the game, but it definitely can change your tactics, because depending on what you flip, you might go, oh, okay, now I'm going to pivot and go over here. So you need to be able to sort of just change. That part reminded me of like one of my favorite little 2-player games called Tally Ho, where The game's pretty random when you flip up tiles, but you're like, oh, okay, now what am I gonna do? Okay, now what am I gonna do? And things change, and this has that aspect where it's like, you think you know what you're trying to do, you're trying to hunt and pick and find different things, but it will change your decisions depending on what those tiles are sometimes. And I like that aspect. You're trying to sort of block others getting to the different towns because you don't want them to link them together to get all those region points. And so there is a little bit of sort of abstract layer of blocking people, which I like because it's combative there. I like how the resource quantity of the set collection of the different resources. So you're trying to get one of each to get the set and possibly use a wild fish from the docks. And you can look at what other players have, and you're trying to either block them from getting them or work on the resources that get you, those sets of 3. So that set collection works really well. And I like that there's different actions. From the resources, you're grabbing all of that same resource. From the royals, you're placing anywhere empty on the board and then moving down the track, which is the timer for the game. And for the buildings, you're placing out there to try to get those big clumps for the big area majority points, but also linking them together to get points as well. This game definitely has that Knizia feel. Of course, it's designed by him, but it does have that feel of just, very interesting, kind of abstract, lots of depth, lots of replayability, but the mechanisms are really easy. It does feel like a Knizia game. I like that you can play with the end game timing. You might feel like you're in the lead and you're going to want to try to rush and grab those royals to push to the end of the game, where other players are, oh, you know what, I need to do a couple more things. I'm very close to scoring a lot of points. I'm not going to go get the royals. So I love games where you can sort of play with the end game timing. And this does that really well. I like that open information is there for all the players. You know where people are on the board, you know which resources they have, you know which ones you're trying to block them from, and it really opens it up for tactics against other players. And the puzzle changes every time because you're going to have the tiles in the different areas. You're going to be playing off the different players, what tiles comes up where. So it does feel like even though the game is similar each time, the puzzle changes, and this game is very puzzle-y, so it gives the game a lot of replayability. This game reminded me a decent amount of one of Reiner's recent games called Blue Lagoon, which is a game I love, about building those networks and blocking people and things like that. So that aspect of this game felt a little bit like Blue Lagoon that I really love. So overall, I've really enjoyed the game. On the negative side of things, there's a lot of tiles, and there's definitely a decent amount of setup, setting up all the different tokens, where they go, putting them in the right order, and then setting up all the tiles. So setup takes a decent amount of time. It's not too bad if you have everybody help out, but for a game that's this short, it does take a little bit longer than I'd like. That's a minor quibble there. Also, the randomness that I said actually I enjoy in the game, because it actually has you sort of pivot and change your tactics. The randomness might turn some sort of pure strategy players off. If you're one that doesn't like any luck in your games, the luckiness of those tiles might not be, it might push this to be a game that's not for you. But again, I think it actually adds to the game because it's a good balance of luck and strategy. So overall, it's another Reiner game that I enjoyed, and that's Aristocracy. Did you miss the Game Topper 2.0 Kickstarter? Have no fear, it's not too late to get in on the ultimate gaming accessory. Convert your table into a high-quality gaming table with a fully portable Game Topper system and take advantage of some of the best 3mm premium gaming mats in the industry. New styles, new sizes, and new accessories can be yours. Upgrade every game you play by late backing now at GameToppersLLC.com.